You're watching the NWR Investor Conference, November 2020. We're joined on the line by ECS Botanics. They are an industrial hemp and medicinal cannabis business, cultivating cannabis via its own and contract growers and processing hemp for the wholesale market and its own retail food brand. The company has a proud Tasmanian heritage and is positioned to be a leader in the Australian hemp market. It is executing on its medicinal cannabis development strategy, constructing a large processing facility in northern Tasmania to accommodate a major scaling and production, and it's also in discussions for an offtake of its expanded production. On the line, we're joined by Alex Keach, who is the Managing Director and Founder. Alex has a diverse background with 14 years experience working in financial markets as an investor, advisor, and fund manager. He has acted as a corporate advisor to several companies with regard to strategy development / implementation, governance, and change management. He has founded, grown, and financed companies across agriculture, financial services, and mining, and also has practical skills in agriculture, including many years' experience working on properties, most notably in the cultivation of poppies, hemp, and potatoes. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to put them into the chat function and we'll throw them to Alex as he's presenting if applicable and suitable. We'll now throw over to you, Alex, for your presentation.
Well, thanks very much, Laura, and thanks to NWR for having me. And quite ironic that you've got me on at the time of 420, quite special time in cannabis culture. So today I want to run through an overview of our business. Also, I just want to illustrate where the industry is going and hopefully give everybody online a view of where the industry is going and how our company is placed to really take advantage of that. So I'll just go to the next slide. This slide here really is just an infographic of us, who we are, where we're going, and what we do. You can see there that we're involved in agriculture. We're involved in the growing of hemp. We have our own retail food line. We're selling in Woolworths. We sell our oil and our soups in Woolworths. We're also proudly Tasmanian and a company that is transitioning now into medicinal cannabis. And it's a very exciting time to be involved in this sector. It is a little bit on the nose with investors at the moment, which has been led by sell down overseas. But it just feels like we're in this consolidation phase, a real sort of learning adjustment phase. And the sort of the Mach 2 of cannabis, or the next generation of cannabis, is about to happen. This is just a bit of a snapshot of our company. Not sure what share price we closed at today, but we're relatively small market cap on those figures of 15.79 million. And we've got $2.6 million worth of cash in the bank as at 30th of the 9th, 2020. And we had FY20 revenue of 919,000 and growing our revenue at a pretty good pace. As discussed, I'm the Managing Director. I have a background in stockbroking, funds management, farming. I got involved in the hemp sector prior to food legalisation in November 2017. And that was a time which was the industry was really sort of coming out of prohibition in a way. We got started growing. We got food products to the market. We started wholesaling hemp food. We submitted our licenses to the Office of Drug Control. We listed in July 2019. So we're relatively new, but we're in a good spot at the moment. I wanted to sort of go back to one of these old presentation slides and just make sure, because I'm not sure who's on this webinar and what your understanding is. So I wanted to really talk about hemp, the difference between hemp and marijuana. The main difference is between hemp and marijuana is hemp is less than 1% THC. So it's non-psychotropic. You can't get high from it. Marijuana, you can get high. Hemp now, we could also call it low THC cannabis. We can call it medicinal hemp. We can call it industrial hemp. It's got lots of different names, hence why it can be a bit confusing. With hemp, it is more of that industrial style crop. It has claimed over 50,000 uses, and those uses vary from food. That's the most complete food source on the planet. Medicine, CBD oil, and all these other cannabinoids come from hemp or low THC cannabis, or whatever you really want to call it. There's also a lot of these terpenes, which people are starting to now hear about. Just on the medicinal part, the cannabinoids, the body naturally produces cannabinoids. So this is nothing crazy that we're putting into our systems. The other uses are industrial uses for paper, for building materials, using it for molded plastics, a lot of cosmetic products and lotions. Hemp has these amazing antimicrobial and antibacterial properties. So people are getting really good results from this plant. Let's go to the next slide. The way I'm looking at low THC cannabis, hemp, as a way to solve a lot of these, some of the world's biggest problems. So hemp very much can be part of that circular economy. It can close the loop. The plant can be used for a variety of things. So we could use it for medicine, we can use it for food, and we can use the same plant for building materials. So it's very much a way to close that loop. It's a carbon negative crop. So we can help solve the world's climate change problems by putting more carbon back into the soil. There's very much a focus on plant-based at the moment, and that we're going through this plant-based evolution. And I don't think people realise that a lot of our perfumes, our cosmetics, plastic bags, even some sugar, paints, they all have animal proteins or animal fats in them. And as a plant and its benefits, all these benefits becoming more accepted and more recognised, and we're tending to lose that stereotype that has gone with the plant for so long. The governments are really starting to embrace this plant as something that they can solve a lot of their issues with, in terms of carbon targets, to alleviate poverty, which starts with agriculture and starts with value adding in fields, all these things that you can do with hemp. It is a bit deglobalisation, and some may say we're going through a bit of a period like that at the moment. Just now I want to touch on hemp seed. Now, we are also going through this plant-based protein growth market. Hemp is a complete protein, so it contains actually 9 amino acids that the body can't manufacture itself. So, you know, to fill that gap in a vegan diet, hemp being that most complete protein and one of the most complete food sources on the planet is very important. Hemp seed protein has been a bit late to the race, really, because it was only legalised in Australia in November 2017. It was really only legalised in the US in December 2018, where it was taken out of their Narcotics Act. So hemp was actually scheduled alongside heroin. Cocaine was considered less risky. Hemp was taken completely out of the Narcotics Act and made an agricultural commodity. So these changes have brought hemp forward quite quickly, but it still was behind a lot of the proteins that were being isolated and developed in that stage. So there's more research now going into isolating hemp proteins, understanding its functionality. That's something that we're getting involved in, and we want to be able to be a leader in bringing these applications to the market. Hemp's also very digestible. It's around 98% bioavailable to the body, and so it doesn't tend to have a nervous reaction, and just means that people are getting better value for money and a more a better protein for the body. This slide just gives you a look at our business. We have got a foot in both camps. So we've got a foot in the low THC cannabis space, being industrial hemp, and we've got another foot in the medicinal cannabis space. We got started earlier on our industrial hemp, and now our medicinal cannabis strategy is really coming into its own. With that medicinal cannabis project being built in Tasmania at the moment. Some pictures of that will be coming up in the presentation. Our industrial hemp farming operation, we own the farm in Tasmania. That's also the site of our medicinal cannabis project. We also contract out to growers for industrial hemp. We have a stake in a company called Tabacarigo, where we do all the drying. Very important that we have that dryer. Hemp comes up at a higher moisture, and because of its unique omega profile, very similar to fish, it can spoil quite quickly. So we make sure we get that dried down straight away. So having charge of that supply chain is very important to us, and making sure we can get the best quality product to consumers. We do sell a lot of wholesale hemp products. So we sell to other food brands wholesale. We also process and put it into our own food line. We sell online. We sell to our hemp seed oil and our soups in Woolworths. We also distribute through some IGAs and other health food stores. So we generate quite a lot of revenue through the wholesale side of the business. Alex,
I might just interrupt there, because I did get a question come through just then about your Woolworths partnership. What kind of feedback, or you're selling to Woolworths, what kind of feedback have you had on uptake of your food products in Woolies?
The feedback comes through our distributed partner, JFA Brands. So Woolies are supportive of supporting companies that are doing the right thing, are local, and farmers. It was interesting during the COVID part, because we got quite a big run on our soups when they went in. The hemp seed oil has been a bit slow to start, but we're seeing good traction. And I think this is or any industry, it's about education. And we're now going out more to the market and educating, and we are starting to get a bit of traction on our oil. And I'm very confident that going forward, that'll continue on that trajectory. And we will look to be lowering our prices as our production costs lower as well, which will increase the sales. Right.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, firstly, it's about awareness, and it's about education. And I suppose that will drive consideration of the products. And you've got products in different categories in these major supermarkets, which is ideal.
Yeah, and there's a strong thematic behind it on the plant-based angle, and people starting to learn about how actually beneficial this hemp seed oil is. It's done wonders for me personally. I started taking a spoonful of it every morning and night, and I was wondering why it was working so well. It was giving me more brain energy, and then I've researched. I realised that our brains are about 70% fat, and if you replace it with the right fats and the right ratio, you get more brain energy, more resilience. So it really does work. And I think all that anecdotal evidence is being more studied now, and people are becoming more aware of wellness. So we think there's a really strong thematic behind it, keep driving our revenue growth.
Interesting. Sorry to interject there, but back over to you with your presentation. We just had that question come through.
Thank you. Good question. So that's our industrial hemp business. For us, it's really about large-scale cultivation and processing. That's really important to drive revenues, also to drive down the cost of production, so we can always remain competitive. Then the other side is, yes, transitioning up the value curve and having your own brand for the retail market. The end goal, obviously, is exporting product to Asia and being known as that that trusted, reliable, and high quality product supplier. The other side of the business coming along quite rapidly now is the medicinal cannabis project. So it's in rapid development phase, and it really is the next generation of medicinal cannabis, and that's something I want to explain a bit more as we go through this presentation. Here's just a look at our range of products. We've got hemp seed oil in capsules there as well, and we've just I think the manufacturing run is either going through now or being completed next week of a hemp seed oil and turmeric capsule. We're getting a lot of interest in these capsules. The margin's good. They're smaller for posting, so they're a high margin, high value product. Just to run over our September quarterly overview. So cash receipts are up 53%. As you can see, the medicinal cannabis project there is well under construction. It's very large. We're funded through this stage one that has the ability to produce up to, I think it's between 1,300 and 2 tonne of dry cannabis flower. We've got a regulatory environment that's really becoming more fit for purpose for medicinal cannabis. With that, cannabis is being less recognised as this, very dangerous material and so onerous in terms of security and these sorts of things, particularly on the non-psychoactive side, which is more your CBDs and your CBGs and all of these types of cannabinoids, which are the most popular cannabinoids in Australia. Well, CBD is actually more is prescribed than THC, and THC is where the huge focus has always been. We've got plenty of hemp seed in our inventory, and as I just said before, we've created a new hemp seed oil capsule. We've also created a new soup. Selling that soup will be subject to getting it ranged, so we might be able to update you soon on that. We've had successful imports of hemp genetics. We've imported from Europe and we've imported from Canada. We import genetics that suit Tasmania. We're very lucky that Tasmanian climate is so well suited to the bulk of the seed supply. We've established an agreement with Sensible Seeds. Sensible Seeds is been in the cannabis seed supply business since 1999. They're the largest in the world in terms of supply, and they have access to over 2,500 strains. So we've got the Australian, New Zealand distribution rights for that business. Here just shows a bit of our of what we do, our farming and handling capacity. Just wanted to note too that our yields were budgeting on about one tonne when we first started growing. We had growers this year that averaged 2 tonne. So a lot of hard work and a lot of agronomy and more commercial trials. We've really been able to see how well this crop performs down in Tasmania by feeding it properly, plenty of water, plenty of long sunlight hours. So we've learnt a lot over the last couple of years, and we're being rewarded with higher yields. These higher yields now allow us to offer our growers a lower price because they were getting around $3.50 a kilo. We've now lowered that price significantly because they're getting higher yields. They're still going to be relatively well compensated. That's really important for us because it enables us to lower our costs significantly at the wholesale and retail level, and it also allows us to protect and even get a bit more margin expansion on the way through. This just shows our wholesale capacity. So just running through the range, it's seed, oil, protein powders. There's several secondary products that come out of the main processing, and we're starting to see quite a lot of demand for these secondary products. That's also very helpful for our margins. A lot of that secondary product demand has been driven by the pet industry, and more food manufacturers and bulk food stores and businesses are now becoming more aware of hemp and understanding it, understanding the regulatory side and these sorts of things, so they can actually fit it into their mix. This is one of the, I feel is one of the most important and most unrecognised aspects of our business. You cannot underestimate the importance of location. And Tasmania has one of these amazingly unique climates, which is fantastic for growing high value things such as berries, wine, essential oils. We do 50% of the world's opiate production down there. There's a reason that crops grow so well down there, and we get such a great concentration of these secondary metabolites and a consistency. So companies are flocking to Tasmania because of its reliable climate. It's got lots of water. It's a low risk climate. It's GMO free. We've got fantastic farmers down there with access to lots of irrigation water, reliable water supply. And hemp really does perform so well down there. Hemp, cannabis, medicinal cannabis, and hemp it performs so well, and we have the opportunity down there to grow it outdoors. And in doing so, you can save a lot of money rather than having to recreate an environment indoors, which is very expensive, and at the end of the day adds to the cost for the patient and also the cost of production. So our vision really is on this point is to industrialise an industry, agriculturalise an industry, drive down the cost of production, and follow the path of most other crops. Cannabis has really had that disservice of being so stereotyped that coming out of prohibition, it's been treated in a way where, oh, we've got to grow it indoors to keep it away. It's looked at as so dangerous. So the regulatory environment is so onerous. That seems to be relaxing now. There's a lot of things that are feeding through on the regulatory side that are very favourable to our business model that we're going to continue to update the market on. And it really just plays into our favour in terms of rolling out our business model. And so that's really exciting for us. We set this business up skating to where the puck was going, not where it currently was. So it's great to finally see it happening. And it enables us to really fast track this development. This will give you a vision of what the medicinal facility will look like. These aren't our photos, but you can see here on the slide that you've got large-scale storage. You're growing outdoors. You've got large-scale extraction equipment. And the point of doing this is that so if we can operate at absolute scale, in the future, our goal is to be like that tolling operator for the state. A bit like you have, say, a Tas Alps down there for the opiates. They grow a heap of poppies outdoors. Agricultural scale, they take it all in and they extract it at scale. This is what the site looks like from an overhead view. This is the first stage. So that's around 5 acres of grow there, and that's the shed, which is under construction. And then the plan is to, in the second year, is put another layer of fencing in, grow THC in that 5 acre area, and then expand down the farm all the way down there, the brown part you can see, and that's where we can grow the non-psychoactive varieties for very low cost, low security, outdoors, natural sunlight, all of these sorts of things, getting a really good, high quality, consistent product. As I said, the vision for this project in the future is large-scale biomass coming into the facility. There you have industrial-sized dryers where you buck the cannabis, it goes into these large-scale dryers, so you dry it down quite quickly, and then it goes into large-scale extraction. And we want to go through that process of advanced manufacturing so we can supply the market with extracts, with crude extracts, with isolates, with CBD with CBG, THC isolates, flavonoids, terpenes, everything, becoming very plant-based, cannabis-based extracts. The idea of that is right at the lower end of the cost curve, and so we become the dominant supplier to the Australian market and to the export market. Next slide here. This just shows the stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 growth plans.
Alex, one of your
yes.
One of the keen watchers on has just asked about the appointment of Damien Wood to the business and
Yes.
how important that is to the future growth of the business, I suppose.
It's extremely important. I was actually going to put a slide in, but I was in a bit of a rush, and I was going to talk about Damien.
Because it was quite recent, wasn't it? The announcement.
Yeah, it's recent, and Damien believes in this strategy, and he has the experience of taking something all the way through from post-production all the way through to final dose medication and export. He sees this opportunity to do it on a grand scale with a vision that he believes in. So he buys into the vision, and he wants to apply those same expertise and knowledge to doing it on an industrial scale.
Big vote of confidence then.
It's a huge vote of confidence to have someone like Damien to really want to come on and do this with us. Yeah, we're just wrapped to have him on board, and yeah, it's going to be a great journey with him.
And doing that at an industrial scale, like the end-to-end process that you just outlined, are there any competitors that are doing similar? Who out there, I suppose, is doing similar in the market?
You'd have to look overseas, really, at the moment. Not saying there's not going to be people that are going to do similar in Australia. I personally believe if people want to do similar, they are going to probably have to come to Tasmania, and they're going to have to go and get all the necessary licenses to do that. So look, that may happen in time, but we've got a very much a first mover advantage in the space, and this model that we're employing, from some of the other figures that I've seen in the market, people doing it more the traditional way. Our capex can be really, to get the same amount of biomass, can be around 3% of what other people have flagged in the market.
Yeah, so I guess just recapping what you just said, like, you've got a head start being in Tasmania, also got on-ground experience and years spent on the ground down there as well. It's not just like a couple of years, like it's a long time in the works. Yeah,
we've got a great network down there of farmers that I've grown up with, really, and also went to university with. So there is a lot of trusted relationships down there. The climate in Tas is special, so I've been very lucky with that thrown in with everything else. To do this in the northern environments, people say, oh, we get more crops. You might get more crops a year, but I think we'll probably be able to stage and get 2 crops a year in Tasmania. But having 2 really high quality crops and low risk crops is more important than probably getting a few more crops up north and having all the the risk of pests, running out of water, extreme heat where you get early oxidization, and potential that you go over your THC levels. We've got a 1% THC limit down in Tassie, so it gives us a lot of headway to reduce risks from our plants not cooking. My father always said, you take the cattle to the feed, you never take the feed to the cattle. It's the same sort of mentality with this. It's all of these things that don't seem that relevant, but are so hugely important in agriculture and farming and getting a really good quality product. So we're not trying to replicate anything indoors in growing environments where high cost of electricity and these sort of things. We've got the perfect environment down there, in terms of light hours, in terms of heat, water, everything. We get excess UV down in Tasmania as well, which increases the resin production. So it's just one of those other bonuses. So yeah, it's really special, and I hope a lot of the investors on the call and prospective investors can come down at some stage and really just touch and feel it and see how real it is, and also how the story is going to unfold.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like a special climate on business wise and actual climate wise.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll let you continue with your presentation now.
Yeah, I think I've only got, how many minutes have I got left?
You can go for another 5 minutes or so. We've got enough time for that. You are the last presenter for today.
Okay, I've only got a couple more slides left, so maybe we can have a few questions. I'll just, on that, I've got stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. So that ramp up in production there really is just the farm in Tasmania. We could purchase more land. There's a potential where we could also contract grow on other land. The security requirements for low THC cannabis are now being reduced, and there's guidance there from the Office of Drug Control. And what I want to do is actually we're getting some more information on that and some more advice. We want to come back to the market, because some of these things that are finding their way through in relaxing legislation on non-psychoactive cannabis, or cannabis less than 1% THC, can provide amazing upside to our business. So I don't want to talk too much more about that, but that there are things happening in the background which I want to continue to update the market on, which would potentially allow us to fast track production even more and build our volumes. This slide here is really just to show you where the market is on the patient access side. So as you can see there, Schedule 4 is the most prescribed formulation. That's CBD oil, and that may be going to a Schedule 3 soon, after an interim decision to downschedule it. It still needs to go through, but likely to go to a Schedule 3. So it'll be able to be end up in pharmacy, which will expand the market more. So CBD oil, we consume more of it than THC, and it is the most prescribed in Australia. So that's why our company is also going to have this CBD focus and non-psychoactive focus. We also do plan on doing THC as well, but I just want to impress upon you, it says it clearly there on the table about CBD being the most prescribed. So that's why I've had that focus on CBD today. All right, I'll go to the next slide. So this slide is possibly, I just want to give you more of an insight to the future of hemp and low THC cannabis. And by doing so, I think you get an understanding of where our business is going, where the industry is going, and why we're so well placed to take advantage of it. And maybe this will also help with questions after I've finished. So we're seeing more of this loss of stereotype by consumers and regulators in regard to cannabis, but also particularly low THC cannabis. The World Health Organization has made recommendations to the United Nations in regard to CBD. That might take time to go through, but the UN conventions really need to change, because hemp is still classified as cannabis, so it's still really treated alongside marijuana. So that's why we still have really industrial hemp in the Narcotics Act and also in the Poisons Act. So there are certain exemptions that are being made, but to get really to bring this ahead and to really open up the industry really broadly and reduce red tape, we need those UN conventions to change, and then our government will look to update the Narcotics Act. As I said, that cannabis is being more embraced globally, but also from the hemp side, it really is a way to solve some of the world's biggest issues, particularly climate change. So we're expecting to see a lot more carbon abatement programs and potentially opportunities to make revenue from having a more sort of closed cycle system on our crops. The trend is definitely going to be broad acre growth, low cost production. That will allow us to really drive down the cost of the actives for patients. When it's cheaper, patients will consume more of it. We want to get to that stage of full plant utilisation, where we're harvesting for the medicine or the food, but the material that's currently really waste, which is the fibre and herd, is processed into building products, and the fibre goes to textiles. The amazing achievement goal would eventually to have that first carbon negative food product or medicinal product or building product. So imagine if you could utilise the whole plant for those processes. You could use part of the stem for hempcrete, which still continues to sequester carbon while it's forming the walls of someone's home. And then say some of that stem too could go into a biochar facility, which would, the end product would be heat, which could be fed back into the grid, would also be a what do they call it? A biochar, so like a fertilizer, where you could add back to the paddock, which would help with water holding capacity, sequester more carbon, hold on to nutrients, and you could really close the loop. And so when you're having a cannabis product, you're actually doing something for the environment. So that would be amazing to be involved in a project like that down the track. Yes, so the broader industry too, rather than just this focus on THC and CBD, the plant has so many other cannabinoids, of which a lot of research is being done on now, and we're realising there's so many more therapeutic benefits to them. The plant is full of terpenes, it's full of flavonoids. We want to be able to manufacture all of these products. We want to manufacture the extracts and the isolates and service lots of different markets. We're also on the cusp of a plant-based natural therapies revolution, where I think cannabis and the plant-based will become more of people's daily routine. There's a very strong emphasis on wellness. So the road ahead looks really positive. We've got to make sure as a company that we still don't chase all these opportunities. We still need to remain focused, and we need to pick the right ones, and we need to execute. And I look forward to updating the market with what's ahead and doing a few more of these in the future.
Thank you very much for that, Alex. That was great, and thanks also for answering questions throughout. That was really helpful. We're out of time now for any more questions, but any questions that went unanswered of yours will be passed on to Alex, and he'll be able to answer them in his own time down the track. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for everybody that listened.
Thank you, everyone.